So I'm here with Paula Huidobro, who's a cinematographer for CODA. Nice to be chatting with you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So I'd love to start with just asking, why'd you pick cinematography as a profession?
Mm, I picked it because I just love the presence of mind it requires to do the job, and I love telling stories, and I love imagining what it feels like to be someone else, and to I feel like to be a good cinematographer, you have to be able to travel into other stories and other like what it feels like to be someone else, and I love sort of the strong connection and the bonds you develop with directors, and that every film is completely different, and you have to fully embark in another journey. And I love light. I love how you can transform environments with lighting, and sort of that every little choice matters and adds up to making a great film. And also love I don't know how to capture stories with the camera, and the blocking, and how it all happens so fast, and if you are not there you miss it.
I also saw that you worked on Tallulah, um, in I think from 2017. So what was it like collaborating with Sean Heder again?
No, I mean, I love her, she's a friend, and it's been really cool because I think 23 and she was I don't know how old, but now I'm 41, so it's been a while since we first met each other. We met she was at the DWW program at AFI, and I was also a student at AFI, so we've definitely grown professionally and as human beings since then.
Ah, okay, that's awesome. You guys must have like a similar eye then, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, we we share a common language, and it's also her and her sister. She's the storyboard artist, so when we're shortlisting, we're kind of family affair where you're imagining things and writing, and everyone sort of talks about how they see things. And she's a great leader. She's very strong as well, and she's kind of a captain of the ship, so it's kind of nice.
Okay. Speaking of ships, what was it like shooting out on the water?
Oh, it was awesome. I mean, we had to go scouting, I think at least 2 or 3 times, where we learned the process of fishing. And because we couldn't fake it, we had to actually go, I don't know how many miles away from the coast, because we had to still be within the permits of, I don't know, fishing. And then you only have one chance of picking up the fish, and like so there were the reality of things. We had to be aware of that.
Sounds almost more like documentary filmmaking, like on the water
Yeah,
then.
yeah. You only get one chance to pick up the fish alive, and then they're dead.
True. Were there any challenges on the water or like in terms of lighting, maybe?
I mean, the boat is very small, so it was we had to be very I think safety was the main concern for the crew and for the actors, because it is a dangerous thing to do. And just the amount of operators we had being handheld, and some of the choices of camera were dictated by the logistics of the operation. And then we had another follow boat with a crane, which was doing more the beauty stuff, the wider shots.
Oh,
And
okay.
yeah.
Okay, interesting. Now, did you guys have any visual references for the film?
I mean, we saw the family Bellier, the original one, the French one. And I think I can't remember right now what was our references. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. You don't worry. I'd also love to talk a bit about the singing in the film. So I'd be curious like, what scene did you guys film first with Emilia as Ruby singing on set?
I think we filmed the first one was the Happy Birthday song, the one where she's at the quarry.
Okay. What was that
Yeah.
like?
Uh, I mean, I think it was I mean, just the beauty of the space, it was quite breathtaking being in that quarry, and like scouting it and stuff was a lot of fun. And then when we were actually there, it just had to be sort of magical and open and sort of really take you inside the world of this shy teenager, because the scene before, she's like all clammed up and she's like surrounded by other kids, and like she has all these like social things imposed on her, but in the quarry she's like just herself. And like even though it's like an exterior world, like she taps into who she really is.
Shooting a scene like with Ruby and Miles in Ruby's room, like where you have to shoot like intimately. Do you like shooting scenes like that?
Oh yeah, I was that was one of my favorite scenes. And I was telling someone else, like we had two operators, but that scene, Sean and I were not feeling like we were quite getting it. And I asked Sean, like, she's like, oh, why don't you operate one time? And I went there, and because it's such a small space and it was like such a intimate scene, and it's about love and like sort of what it feels like to be young and be with someone the first time in a room. So it was kind of magical to operate myself and be really close and sort of discover things and react and be a little bit more kind of like poetic or something.
Okay. So you don't camera operate too often then?
Mm, no, unfortunately, no, because it's like two cameras, and like just sometimes the logistics of things don't allow me to operate. But I really love operating handheld
Okay.
myself.
Okay. And then what's it like kind of on the flip side? What's it like staging a scene like that fall concert in that scene there?
Uh oh, well, that one we yeah, we had to like, we I think we only had an short amount of time to capture everything, and there were like all these songs and all these extras. And so we had to be very prepared, like what we needed, and just being aware of time. And it was a yeah, just doing the work ahead of time, so we
Okay.
couldn't like improvise as much on the day.
I imagine that you had to get like a lot of coverage, right?
Yes.
Now,
Yeah.
I'd also love to learn about like the reaction on set, because like I know one of the most emotional scenes for me was on the back of the truck with Ruby and her dad Frank, and just her singing to him. So what was that like for the set watching that be filmed?
I mean, I think, yeah, you grow attached to the characters and you are following their journey. And like you get, I mean, sometimes you get caught up in the logistics of things, but then other times you get lost in the magic of the scene. And sort of it was a very emotional scene between her and her father. And also the fact that he cannot hear, like it's a touching thing, like it's something that we don't know what it feels like. And I feel like watching it there while they were acting, you like you really felt it, and I hope it came across.
Very much. Cool. For the original song Beyond the Shore that plays over the credits, I'm curious if you and Sean had ever like conceptualized how to shoot that song, or was it always going to be over the credits?
No, I didn't know that she was gonna pick that song, but I really liked it.
Yeah, me too. Now, what's your favorite kind of lighting to use?
Mm, well, I guess it just depends on the story. Like I like to try to not repeat myself, and I like to be organic and learn something from the people I'm working with. And I think sort of trying to not repeat what I've done in the past, and to be organic and sort of not imposing a style to the story.
Now, I feel like the just the look of this film is would be very different than something like Barry, which you work on. So, what's it like, kind of like trying to figure out the styles for both of those projects?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what makes it inspiring and interesting, because when you're reading a script, you have to see it in your head first, and you imagine it one way, and then you start looking at the locations, and then you start hearing what the director wants and the production designer wants, and then you see the actors, and sort of like all the small pieces of the world come together, and then you start like watching films or photography that you're like sort of inspired by, and then it's like the combination between you and your crew. So it's always kind of a magical process where you never know where you're gonna end up at the end.
Okay, that sounds like very much part of the fun.
Yes.
What was it like shooting in a small town like Gloucester?
I mean, to me, it was quite magical. I'm from Mexico City, so it's definitely a foreign world to me. And what was really incredible about the film as well was getting to spend the summer in Gloucester, which is incredibly beautiful, like the ocean and like all those quarries and the small community. Because I guess a lot of those towns are being gentrified, and now it's like just rich people summering there. But not Gloucester still is more real, and there's like a real fishing community and a real bar where the fishermen go. And so that was quite a kind of like, that was pretty awesome that it's not a tourist town, it's a real place.
Okay, so you guys were really able to spend time with the residents, kind of thing.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
what
and
was
also
that
we
like?
were able to enjoy like all the ocean and the quarries, and Sean had grown up there, so she really knew the community.
Oh, okay, so that's a cool inn then, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Also, one thing I was kind of wondering about, because like in the sign language scenes, it feels so quiet. So I'm curious if for the set, is it really hard to stay that quiet?
uh no, I mean, when you're rolling, everyone's quiet anyways, but what I think is kind of magical is that you don't fully know what it's being said. Like, I was surprised in a good way when I was watching the film with all the subtitles, because there's a lot of things that, as a hearing person like you, they escape to you, and you don't know like all the subtle things. And like, the language is, I feel, I mean, I don't know enough, but it's different than like the specific words. It's more about stories. And
Okay.
so I don't know.
Yeah, and that must have been fun, like watching back and seeing all like the kind of comedy moments, right?
Yeah, no, because I knew the dad was incredibly funny, but once you read everything that they were saying, it's even funnier and sweeter and like
For sure.
just real.
I know I was laughing really hard at the condom scene.
Yeah, yeah, that was pretty funny.
That was great. Did you have a favorite scene to film?
Mm, well, I think that bedroom scene with Miles and Ruby was one of my favorite scenes, just because I don't know, it was more immediate and less planned, and sort of emotional in like a romantic kind of way.
Okay. And did you have a most challenging one to film?
I think, yeah, probably the fishing scene, just because of all the planning that was involved, and like logistics and the boats and all that stuff. Yeah.
Okay. And I'd also love to ask, is there like a genre that you haven't worked in yet that you would like to work in?
Mm, well, I mean, I love different period films, because it's just a whole world that you don't know anything about, and it's just magical to get to see some other time period. And yeah, I guess like period pieces are amazing to me.
Okay. What era would you like to shoot?
I don't know. Yeah, I guess I don't know, like anything, New World, like when the Spanish came to Mexico, or
Okay.
doesn't matter.
That would be cool with the costumes.
Yes,
That's awesome. Uh, do you have anything else you want to add?
but no, I think I'm good. I mean, it was a great experience, and I love working with Sean. And yeah, I mean, it's been great how people respond to the film.
Okay. Do you have any favorite reactions that you've heard so far?
Well, I mean, I just like that friends of mine like text me or email me, and they're like, "Oh, I was crying and I love the film." And yeah, it's just because when you're working on something, you see it so much that you sort of stop seeing it what it's really like. But then when you hear it from friends, then that's quite special.
I feel like that's my time. So I'd like to thank you, Paula Huidobro, for chatting with me on the Movie Buff Show.
Thank you.
I
Have a
appreciate it.
good day.